Hello, everyone. This is your host, Living Dead Cat, and welcome back to another spooky episode of Mental Health with Art. Woo! So, tonight's episode is going to focus on masking and hiding the real you. Now, masking is a tool that is used by many people who suffer from anxiety, depression, to pretty much let everybody think that they're okay and to appear strong or something like that. It is also used in people who are on the spectrum to appear quote unquote normal as society would like them to be. So tonight I have a few people on here ready to talk about their experiences with masking, and we will get into that in just a moment. Right now, I would like to thank everybody who has tuned in previously to any of my streams. I've been hearing that it's helping quite a few people, and I just want to say that makes me feel really good. It's kind of almost feeling like a calling at this point, and I really appreciate everybody who's joined in, and I'm so glad that it's helping people, because that's pretty much what it's for. It's not just for me to get stuff out there. And I will say that if I do go affiliate and whatever else, I plan to start lots and lots of donation streams and such for mental health support. So I hope that I can help somebody else out who doesn't watch the stream and be able to, push that mental health agenda back into the public eye, because it's really important. Hi, Peach. Glad you could join the stream. I'm going to go ahead and unmute my Discord stuff here so I can say hi to everybody there. Hi, guys. We have Dralix and Hydro Girl in Discord. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Ha ha ha.
Hello.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing well. I've been looking forward to this stream.
I know, and thank you so much for the suggestion to solely focus on the masking aspects. I am getting a couple more things set up on my end, and then I will be ready, because my silliness doesn't have another screen yet. So I have to log in with my phone on my other account just to watch myself and make sure everything's working. It's not cheating, I swear.
Do you want some help mounting another screen somewhere? I'm pretty sure you have at least one.
That's on the to-do list after I get a desk that's not so enclosed.
I actually was looking at desks today. I found this standing one that with a motor, and it's actually not that bad. $189 for what would usually cost like a couple hundred somewhere else.
Well, it's not bad. It will be on one of my to-do lists to save up for. Uh-oh, I'm getting an unexpected error on the stream. I hope it's not messing up. Hi,
you
Greg,
divided by
by the way.
0 again, didn't you?
Yes. A little bit. Give me just a second. It turns out that we've got a request to join the server. One moment, please.
Ooh.
And there we go. And I'll pop it up on here too. All right.
18 and up.
Yes, they are 18 and up. I wonder why I'm getting an unexpected error. It's really bothering me. Does anybody else happen to be in there? Can they see everything? Peach, can you see? Maybe it's just my phone.
Looks fine on computer.
Maybe it's just mobile. Oh well, I'll get started. Where's my glove?
Move your hand across the screen.
It's across the room. Hi. Welcome to Living Dead Cat Chokes Herself on her headphone cord to get a glove.
Kinky? Question mark?
No. Yeah, I've got the chat working. It's just the video gives me an unexpected error message. Anyhow, all right. So first off, shout out Spanner in the Works. They're the reason I got into this. So thank you so much. You can check them out on YouTube and I believe Twitch still. They are also on Instagram. Go ahead and give them a check out. He does like DJing stuff, and it's really, really cool to watch. The Tower of Issa, she created my VTuber avatars. Thank you. Wonderful work. She is still, they are still exploring quite a bit of experimentation on going into the 3D models and things like that, and are doing fantastic. Give them a follow on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and then Kay Appleby for making my banner for the Art and Mental Health stream, Kitsue for the continued support of Dragon Panther Studios and working on the DPS logo, and of course DPS, also known as Dragon Panther Studios. Check them out at dragonpantherstudios.com. And one more, Gray, the leader of the Sanctuary.
Well, a leader.
You are fearless leader.
Gray for making my job harder.
Alrighty.
Actually, you're the one to blame for all of this.
Me or he?
No, Gray.
I'm to blame for a lot of things. You have to be more specific.
Oh, that's right. Peach, thank you so much. Dragon Panther Studios now has merch. Coffee mugs, stickers, t-shirts. Go check it out.
Regret paddles.
Shh. This is not that kind of stream, Gray. Alright, so last time I said I was going to do the La Catrina style of zombie for the art piece that I was going to do, some spooky. Peach says that she can make those, Gray. I'm just going to leave it at that. I was initially going to have her holding her own face, but after looking at this and how much detail there's going to be in it, it's going to look all jumbled up and weird. So I think I'm going to give her face back and have like some corpse without a face somewhere else.
And all I can think about is Rorschach yelling, "My face!"
Of course, Gray. I still don't know what I'm going to do with this coffin over here. It looks cute.
I was going to say, speaking of faces, so masking.
Yes, tonight's topic is masking, hiding the real you. As I said in my intro, this is Living Dead Cat, and tonight's topic is about those who tend to hide their real selves, either to appear normal by societal means, to make themselves seem or appear like nothing's wrong so they leave people alone. Jasper, are you kidding me? I just started. Look at him trying to sneak. Fail. Massive fail. You're fired. You let a bug in earlier. No. No, not tonight. Come on. And it's not dinner time either. But also people mask to not just hide their emotions from others, you know, like you could do when you're at work. You kind of have to put on that brave face, but also to be strong for the rest of the family or something like that. There's all kinds of reasons that people mask, and there's a lot of people out there who don't realize that that's what they're doing. So maybe this stream will help somebody figure out the why behind their masking, or if they even do it. So anybody who's watching the stream, is the music too loud to hear everybody? Because I can turn that down some more.
So I can hear you just fine talking.
Music is not too loud for Peach. Okay, cool. I'll keep it right there. Not too loud.
keep? Okay, cool. I'll keep it right here.
Hydra, you do have a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure if you how aware of this you are.
I am aware. I had to
Okay.
mute the TV, but I had to turn it unmuted so I could actually hear the voice come back, so I could let y'all know whether or not it was,
Gotcha.
audible.
And I still can't
Yeah.
see the stream on my phone, so I don't know if they messed something up in mobile or not. Or maybe it's just my phone. All right, so I'm going to continue my drawing, and anybody who wants to pop up with their masking stories or experiences, why they do it, and yada yada, feel free to pop in.
Yeah, I got nothing for this one, or at least nothing that I realize.
Well, I know Dralix has quite a bit to share about it, but I don't think he wanted to go first.
No, you are correct.
I mean, I would say that, we've all messed up at some point or another. I mean, whether it's to get a job, to fit in, to make sure we don't fight with relatives, to make sure other relatives don't fight with each other. I think there's a lot of masking.
I definitely do it around family.
I used to. I stopped.
And Panther said he will go in a second.
I can go now, and probably also again later, and then a little bit, and then again after that.
Trust me, if we run long, I will revisit this again.
So this is going to be a 7-part miniseries?
If it must be, yes.
So from in a previous stream that inspired this, when we were talking about people who are autistic or on the spectrum, and that's me, which I had shared then and I'm resharing now, and in that context, I do a lot of masking of a variety of different types, and kind of constantly in my day-to-day and not everything is big. Sometimes some of it's small and subtle, but that I don't know. It's very much the kind of masking of pretending that I'm normal and that my brain works like everyone else's does, because it very much often doesn't. But I have over the years built up the habit of pretending that it does, if that makes sense. That one of the big things with masking for me is the degree of repetition and habit in it, and that was kind of some of what I wanted to do. That one of the reasons I was excited to talk about it was that to some degree, the elements of my normal everyday mask have become so ubiquitous that I have forgotten. I for a little while had forgotten that I was masking, though I most definitely was. And I have fortunately had some experiences recently that have helped me figure out and identify some of those elements. But a lot of it is the like pretending everything is fine, pretending everything is normal. It's with being on the spectrum, oftentimes like not getting social cues means that a mask element is like, someone told a joke, everyone else is laughing, so I'm gonna laugh along and convince them that I know exactly why that's funny. Why is that funny? But I don't want anyone to know that I have no idea what they were talking about. What was that about? This or that? And And that can be laughing along with people, or one of the a mask that has occasionally got me in trouble more than it's helped has been at work. Someone, as someone who's relatively younger and relatively new to working and in a very technical job, I'll get someone who says, all right, I need you to implement that report scheme, and here's 17 parts of it. Do you understand? Yes, I definitely understood the words report scheme in that context. And getting lost early in explanation, and then masking that everything is fine and just nodding along until such time as the explanation is done, because if halfway through you ask, you raise your hand and say, what is this presentation is about, you feel silly.
Right.
But the fact that you don't know means that you're just digging a deeper hole of pretending everything is fine until it all builds up and more damage gets done, and you have to then try to scramble and figure out after the fact that what all of that was about. And now you don't have that someone who's spent time explaining it to you to explain it to you again once you finally figure it out. And so that's honestly the things like that I find are the darker side of pretending everything is okay, is that when things aren't okay, you then don't do the things that you need to do to fix things and make them actually okay, because you're too busy pretending that they're already fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows up in many different contexts. That can be being emotionally fine and just keep bottling things up until one day someone bumps into you in the hallway and you turn and just punch them for no reason, or that you're bottling up sadness and one day you drop something in a store and burst into tears. Those two are examples that I am making up, not things that are associated with me, but that are the kind that's
Yes.
Masking also is they're defensive mechanisms that fix masking to me is a defensive mechanism that will solve any immediate problem at the cost of maybe this will come back to bite you later, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe it turns out that report doesn't need to get done after all, and maybe they just told a joke, it was funny, and everyone moved on. But it's like finding the line between how much should you mask and how much should, because there's also very much consequences for not masking of if feeling like you always need, if you're the friend who always stops and asks your friend to explain everything they say, that can be a lot of the consequences for masking are in your head, but a lot of them aren't. You're then that person who doesn't understand anything that anyone says, or that there could be a stigma associated with, you're the person who reacts emotionally to everything, or Chris always has a problem, and
hey, leave Chris out of this. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, that's a bunch of jumbled words. If someone else wants to take over, please.
Oh, no. I fully understand a lot of those concepts, because all growing up, I was the weird kid, and eventually I had to start behaving quote unquote normal, and then it still didn't work. Peach says that she masks a lot. Hers is usually at work or when she's in a lot of pain. I don't know what happened, but when I was a kid, I would mask. But now that I'm an adult, I don't really know how anymore. If I'm in pain, you can tell. If I'm upset, you can tell. It's like everything is just so out in the open that I have essentially forgotten how to mask sometimes. I mean, I may say one thing, but you can definitely see on my face or in my body language that I don't really mean that. Like saying I'm fine has almost become a curse word now. in some aspects. It's almost taboo to say that you're fine and actually mean it. And yes, I see you. You are not sneaky.
Dun, dun, dun.
Stop it, Casper.
Jaws the cat.
Hi, welcome. Nice to have you in here. So we
I've been
heard.
here just kind of quietly lurking.
Yes, you're very much a
I was
lurker.
I was gonna go before, but I was in the restroom and I figured I should finish that first.
Yeah, we don't need a second stream on the stream like Graves likes to do.
I'm not even doing it. I'm actually watching the color of the skies change to like a rusty orange.
That's concerning.
Those are always nice
Yes.
and creepy.
I can confirm it is the world is currently has a sepia filter on it.
Ew.
Oh no, is this what old times felt like? No, I'm kidding.
Oh god, I can feel the color draining.
Well, thank you very much, Dralix, for sharing. Yeah, I have a feeling you'll be sharing again soon as well. But
I have no idea what gave you that impression.
you're definitely a welcome member in this chat because you have so much to share. And it's good.
Slides and slanders.
It's good to share. So
I've done a lot of thinking about myself and my own conditions enough that I can verbalize things well, but there's still a lot to do.
definitely. And I muted myself in Discord while I was doing my intro, and I know you are one of the people who came to me and said that the stream was helping you. Also, Chef had mentioned that to me, and another person outside of this group had actually reached out and thanked me, and I feel so happy that this is helping people, and even more so now than ever, thank you to everybody who shares, because who knows whose lives you're going to affect just by sharing your experience. And I know that for some of you it is a lot more difficult, and when we do have those, sudden breakthroughs, it can really hit us hard. So again, just thank you so much, each of you.
Thank you.
Would like to go next.
I got some general stuff on masking.
Go ahead.
So generally for me, masking tends to be when I need to get certain things done and I'm not necessarily okay. So it comes up a lot when dealing with pain. I have had pain issues since I was a teenager that are only getting worse as I get older and older. And recently, as I've tried to open up certain other things and found out a little bit more about anxiety, I found that masking for anxiety is the only way I can get through being outside when it starts to kick in. I generally still need to find my way, to an exit and to my safe spaces. But when it starts to happen, there is at least a grace period where I can sort of pull on this persona of competence and just let people know, okay, well, the night's over for me. You guys have a great night. It's very personable. It's very much out there, but it's very much, people who know me can see it as distinct from the way I normally would be if I were just, calling it a night and heading out. And I don't know. Masking works best, of course, I find, with people who know you on a surface level. But there are certain aspects, particularly when it comes to hiding how much pain I'm in, that even those closest to me generally don't notice until I finally verbally tell them and or collapse into a heap. Hello. Hang on.
Um,
Sorry, there was a small medical question. It looks like somebody's hurt their toe. It doesn't look broken, but it does look like it's in a lot of pain.
Aw.
It was the eldest. She was just coming out to ask. But yeah, same situation. A lot of times, for example, if I'm around the kids and I get wanged in the shin, or you get that average day in the life of a dad nutshot.
Mhm.
You kind of just gotta smile and get through it. But it's different when you wake up every morning and your entire skeleton feels like it's full of glass shards, and you're waking up because a kid's like, "Hey, it's time to go walk the dog." So.
Yeah. So, like we heard from Dralix, his case was due to the being on the spectrum from him, and for you, it's not really wanting your friends to worry, family to worry, and also keeping that strength, that what is the word I'm looking for? Being strong for others as well.
Stoicism.
Yeah, stoicism. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess a lot of it's taught. My folks are both Northerners, and there's this whole, I guess, Yankee stiff upper lip concept of it's not cold, you're just not walking fast enough.
Well, all right then.
But a lot of that was born in there. Being in pain and showing it wasn't really very well accepted when I was growing up, and having emotional issues or having mental issues was definitely something to be contained and to be dealt with in private.
Mm-hmm.
My folks both being very public people, so it was definitely hugely discouraged. So that's where I picked up a lot of the habits. But it's definitely like, as I've gotten older, I've found that a lot of the times, like if I'm having an anxiety situation, letting somebody know what's happening during it is only going to make it worse, especially if that person is trying to go out of their way to do things to help me make it better, when the best thing I need to do is simply exit the situation I'm in and get to a calm place.
Mm.
So, like it's something that helps me, and yeah, I don't want my friends and family to worry about me, but also a lot of the times it would be impossible to function if people were aware of what I was going through mentally, or it would be impossible to function if I were catering to or paying attention to the fact that I was in pain. So.
Okay. Anybody else want to add on to that or share their thing?
So mine, I don't mask around people who know me, for the simple fact that I want them, especially if they are prone to masking, to know that I'm actually a safe space. But for people who don't know me, especially in, say, a professional environment, or especially in dating, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm struggling, I will hide how much I'm usually suffering at that point due to my terrible anxiety and panic. And so that, and I've actually been told this by people who, I would tell them I have anxiety, and they're like, "Oh, well, we find that hard to believe because you're just so cool and relaxed right now." And I'm like, and it's because they're not getting to see that outward emotional burst that I'm very, very prone to. It's very, very big and outward and disturbing to people to see me actually physically panic. There's usually a lot of crying involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to mask. I'm getting better about not masking, and I've tried to do a different philosophy. It's not to mask, it's actually to not mask and to be honest about where you're kind of at,
Mhm.
but at the same time trying not to focus on the symptoms and the sensations, and to do what you would be doing if you felt centered and balanced. If you were in your calm state, what would you have been doing anyway? And go with and do those things.
Hmm.
And it's supposed to help retrain the brain to understand what is being perceived as a threat is not, to help actually stop the cycle. And that's actually been it's been working really well for me, to where I'm not having to mask as much. I definitely still do it dating. Yeah.
I actually have a couple of questions about that. That sounds a little like masking to yourself as a way to train yourself to genuinely be more okay and more resilient? Is like, if you believe that you're okay, that's like the brain will just make you more okay. Is there
Actually,
any?
you're not believing you're okay at all. You are simply accepting that you're not okay, but you're going to do what you had intended to do with your time anyway. And it's because, psychologists, psychiatrists, the scientists that have studied the brain, the anxious part of the brain is actually a very illogical piece. It's separate. You cannot reason with it. People push cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, it is helpful, but there is no way to logically tell yourself that you're okay and your brain to actually understand that.
Mhm.
It has been helpful to show yourself you're okay. So if you're not trying to run away from your feelings and sensations and are doing the things that you usually enjoy doing, your body is figuring out that you're not needing to run and fight, and it will desensitize itself and turn that mechanism off. And that was the most helpful for me. And the reason why I'm so forward about this type of therapy and style is because I'm med resistant. I can't take medication. They all backfired on me and made me, I was the one who was the super sensitive black box labeled, would have to go into the hospital if I tried to take the pills, because they just made me so sick. And this has worked for me in my worst major depressive disorder relapse and panic disorder relapse, without really using anything. On an occasion, I think I took a Klonopin here and there, but otherwise, my authentic self just going that path and no longer trying to mask through it actually helped me get better.
Okay, so accepting that's just that's how things are, and moving on without trying to
Pretty
add
much.
more layers of complexity.
Pretty much, it is a form of radical acceptance. If you've ever looked into dialectical behavioral, but
Yep.
you're not accepting that this is who you are and this is how you're going to feel all the time. That's not it at all. You're accepting that I have to go to work today. My stomach is in knots. I can't get food in me. I'm losing weight drastically. I have not slept. How am I supposed to get through my workday and not totally screw up? And well, if I had slept and I had eaten food, I would actually be able to do all of these things. So I'm gonna do them anyway. And if I screw up, I'm just gonna be okay with that, because this is my best right now. And instead of self-criticizing, and instead just realizing where you're at, every day it gets a little bit better. It's very, very, very slow to turn off that anxious response. And I also have what I call anxiety amnesia. It sounds stupid, but go with me here. I have triggers, right? A lot of us have different triggers. I can sit there and get through my anxiety and my panic about a specific theme, feel all better and feel normal, and then be into an entirely different trigger and be right back at square one and not even realize how I got out the last time, and I would have to restart the process. But it works every time. And it has been since I think I started really getting out of my relapse around November of 2021. And the relapse started in February of 2021. So that's how long it lasted, where I was literally, I think I was having panic attacks at least hourly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
so that's how well it has worked for me.
I'm glad to hear you found something that works for you.
It's
That's
excessively
great to
hard.
hear.
Thank you.
I wish those sort of processes would work more often for me, but with me, I'm pretty resistant to that. I mean, a lot of my anxiety is about hypervigilance. I know a lot of it tracks back to being homeless and knowing that at any given moment anything could happen, and I could either end up hurt or in jail out of nowhere. So, like, being away from my safe places, there's a small voice that starts that is just a running tally of all things that are potentially threatening, and then all of the particular ways in which they could become a negative situation down the line, and it just continues and continues to build and build and build. So masking usually involves kind of trying to compartmentalize and put that whole section, like that little part of me that's just freaking out and screaming, to the side, and just push out that this almost preset set of responses to almost everything. It's not exactly robotic. I guess it works pretty well like an adaptive AI most of the time, but I'm usually not like controlling it when it gets to that point. I don't know.
A lot of practice.
Oh, go ahead.
This is not something I mastered in a day. It took repetition. I had to rewatch video techniques every day to remind myself what I was supposed to do. I carried around a note card, reminding myself what I was supposed to do every time a new loop would start. It was not something I just did and just could do. It took a lot of effort, work, and repetition. I mean, I guess it could kind of be like a coping mechanism, so to speak, but it was successful.
No, absolutely, and definitely not to downplay any of the work into that. Just the entire concept of I went through a similar process that got me to where I am with this, and it works about 70% of the time, and that's good enough for me because it was about 0% of the time for a while.
So what was your technique that worked for you to help you not have to mask?
Technique. That's the whole thing, is that masking is actually the technique that I'm using at this point to help deal with anxiety enough to let me leave the house.
Okay.
In other words, just different processes to get to some semblance of stability.
So what I'm hearing is both is the other side of the fence is greener.
Maybe it's just like the entire concept that masking or anything that anybody could do is not necessarily inherently good or bad, or will not necessarily inherently work or not work for anybody. But that, for example, everything has its particular use.
I agree with that. And what did work for me may not work for somebody else. And
yeah, and I'm absolutely super intrigued by your process, because it definitely is like bringing note cards and like making more of a like a project out of it. Seems like something that could definitely work for a lot of people, honestly.
I don't know if that's directly related to my personality type, though.
True.
I'm a analytical engineer. I'm detail oriented. I go by processes, so I like to copy processes. So maybe that's why it worked for me.
Absolutely. No, I mean, like, and having those concrete things, like, do you think actually having, having your writings, having your note cards, having those physical things, do you think those things helped you with the anxiety? And I know I mean, or what was more specifically, what helped you have something different to use besides masking so that you could be more genuine?
Yes. Yes, they
Heck
did.
yeah, man. That's awesome.
Um, I mean, my to 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 to, step in again slightly. My experiences on masking have been that I've been very heavily masked from a very young age, and have been recently starting the process of trying to be more genuine and be more authentic. In
Uh-oh.
yeah, I was saying
Anybody
somewhere
else?
with
Yeah, you kind of cut out a little bit. I think there was a bit of a lag in the server or something.
nope, uh that's me leaving Wi-Fi.
Ah, there you
There, I was like, I've been pacing for a little while. I should just go outside and go for a walk.
go.
But I've been in somewhat of a similar way to you, Hydro. I've been trying to mask less often than I have been. I've been masking kind of to some degree or other, kind of constantly from a very young age, and it started to catch up with me a little. That totally hypothetical example previously about someone explaining something and then me going, "Yep, I understand. I don't understand," got me laid off from a job, and that was kind of my face the music, come to Jesus moment of, okay, if I keep pretending everything is fine for too long, I forget that I need to go and actually make things fine. And I had the realization that when I very first tried to unmask a little and be more authentic, that initially I couldn't, insofar as it was a very odd experience of, I was so used to always insisting that it, both externally and to a lesser degree internally, that everything was fine, everything will be fine, everything is normal. Yes, that when I was like, okay, things aren't okay, I just got laid off, that's fine, everything's fine. No, it's not. Yes, it is. That it took some time to figure out how not to mask for a little initially, and I started a new job and was like, had to keep like slapping my own hand on, as people are training me and going, okay, here, let me show you. Do you see how this works? Yes. No, I don't. Can you show me that piece of it again? And which like that being said, masking is definitely not bad, and it's not a bad thing by any means, but it is something that I have been coming to terms with its limitations as a tool. And I mean, there are also times when I know that if I don't mask at all, I know that some people here have seen me completely unmasked and to some degree completely unmedicated. And it's a kind of uncontrolled storm of this here, what there, now, okay, I have 17 things to say on 4 different topics, and I'm going to say them all at the same time because I'm thinking about all of them, and I have questions about all of these things. And that is not necessarily a good state to be in for the people around me and for me 90% of the time. And that I know that I could not function meaningfully if I don't mask some of the time, and it is a very useful tool for sometimes just like marshaling my, things need to get done, and I have time to panic or process or do all these things later, but for right now, I need to be fine, and to have that as a tool to be able to deal with the world if I need it, but then also to be able to put that away when I am in a safe space like this, to be able to, as of right now, I'm mostly just stream of consciousness talking right now. Because this is a place that I can do that, and when I come across a thought and go, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way, I can actually stop and be, I mean, to actually to tie that back of, I find that when I'm unmasked, I'm a much more spontaneous and creative individual, which is, I also know that some people are like, wait, he's more spontaneous? Yes, that's possible. But that when I was masking very heavily, I suppressed a lot of those tendencies within myself, because creativity and spontaneity are not, or at least are not really normal, like quote unquote normal societal behaviors. And so having to suppress that, and I was like rather unhappy because I was a more boring person for it, because I had some normal friends that I did normal things with, and I was like, yeah, but what if we then did that and added a trampoline? And then I would push that thought down of that's not what a normal person would say. A normal person would enjoy this, and so as I said, I don't know, yeah, like masking very much to me is suppressing who I am so that I'm able to function in the rest of the world, because the rest of the world was not designed with me in mind. Massive oversight, I know, but we'll fix that in 2.0. But so I mean, I think that's what I mean. That I think is actually a really good alternative definition of masking, is suppressing who you actually are so you can fit in with the rest of society and how it's structured. Because if you're in pain, society is not designed for people who are in chronic pain. That's, they don't give you enough sick days for that. If you're anxious, society is designed to funnel you through crowded spaces, because that's the most optimal way to pack people like cattle. If you're socially divergent, socially have bad reading social cues, people like the world is designed to put you in nebulous situations and have you navigate them, because most people are able to read social cues naturally and don't need to interpret and simulate them. And pretending to be who you are not to fit in is a useful tool for getting around in society, but it's also important to balance that with being your own authentic self and finding spaces where you can unmask and be yourself, sometimes just to remind yourself who it is under the mask and who you really are. And I've been very fortunate that I found some people and some spaces and some groups that I've been able to do that with to a much greater degree than I have in the past, and I'm very grateful for that, and hope that then say that the Sanctuary Discord here is definitely one of the places where I can do that a little bit, among others. So thank you for listening to me ramble about all of this.
Thank you for coming to our Dralix TED Talk. Yes, it's definitely, yeah, you're definitely heard with this. Yeah, wow.
And maintain the sanctuary and everything.
It's a safe space. Except,
it is. I'll go ahead and link the Discord server again for those who didn't get it earlier.
There's a skill and an understanding associated with being okay with being not okay, and it is not something that I think comes naturally to almost anyone, and that different people either find it themselves in their own way or don't, and deal with the consequences of not being okay anytime that they're not okay. But it's very important to, I think, be aware if that's something that you're struggling with, is allowing yourself to the room to not have to be perfect and okay all of the time, because no one is. And that's like, and either holding yourself to a standard or beating yourself up because you are not holding yourself to a standard. That always
You
cuts
are
both ways.
cutting out a
I'm
bit.
a little bit.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, being okay with being not okay, and yeah, I don't know. Someone take this mic from me, please, or I'll keep talking.
I don't know if this is necessarily masking or anything, but I can tell a little bit of my story. So when my ex-step old man, whatever you want to call him, became the head of the household, all of a sudden the household became a Christian household, and I tried for several years to be something that I was not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, as the years went by and I separated myself from all of this, you know, there's a lot of stuff in this that's good for another talk at another time.
Yes.
But I'll just say this: I was afraid of my old man, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I would put on the Christian mask, if you will, to make sure that there was never any sort of, you know, any sort of conflict in the household. I mean, it wasn't who I was, but I had to keep the peace somehow.
Right.
Man, I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
It does.
That is absolutely a form of masking, and
Mm-hmm.
gave me some other thoughts on.
That would be somebody around those closest to you in order to avoid rejection, loss of stability, you know, your home, your roof over your head, to avoid any kind of situation that could be potentially abusive. All of that is a form of masking to protect yourself. And that's the point of masking, right? It's to try to hide things from others so they don't, you know, so they don't reject us because we're not conforming to how everybody else is currently feeling in the situation, right? We're the odd man out. We're actively panicking while they're just like totally chill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, that's totally it. I mean, it got better once I was no longer in that house, but you know, I still remember that. I still kind of, even though I don't do it anymore, I mean, I still feel it, even though it's in my past.
Yeah.
It's haunting, really.
It is. It is. It definitely is. A lot of our past will often come up when we go through some of these talks, and the haunting aspect of it. That's those memories that never seem to fade. It always seems kind of fresh, and just the tiniest thing can bring that back so vividly. That's something that we will be touching base on in a future stream, and that's going to be the breakthroughs and breakdowns episode. So be ready for some emotional outbursts on that one.
Emotional damage. I have plenty of that.
Yeah. But especially from this side.
I bought stock emotional damage.
The inspiration for that one came from when we first started talking about attachment theory, when I got a little weepy on the mic. But yeah, it's
a little verklempt.
Huh?
A little verklempt.
Yeah, just a little verklempt. Oh my god. Anyhow. But yeah, even still, I see people mask, and I recognize a lot of the time, not all the time, but quite a bit when people are masking. But for some reason, it escapes me, whether or not my emotions or anything else stated, we're not doing this anymore, or we don't have time for this anymore, we don't have the energy, spoons, forks, whatever you want to call it. I just haven't masked in a long time. And to be honest, I kind of wish I could. But I don't know. Everything is just so raw and in the moment for me lately.
So do you feel that reason you want to mask is because do you feel guilt about being outwardly emotional when you're feeling too much?
Guilt is one of the things that is a constant topic in therapy. I do have guilt issues quite a bit. Some of them a bit ingrained in me with being blamed for things that may or may not have been my fault, or taking the blame where it wasn't there. But just all those things, I do carry a lot of guilt with me. I blame myself for a lot of things. A lot of the abuse I've survived has pretty much manifested as guilt, and victim shaming as well for certain things. But in terms, I wish what it is I could turn them off for a bit.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the true form of masking, but a lot of the times I just want to not do it and not have to suffer through it in that moment. Maybe hold it for later, but at the same time, I know that holding back can be a negative thing if you do it for too long or whatnot. And compartmentalizing versus disassociating versus this, that, and the other. Those are things that I don't really want to get into as like my own way of dealing with things. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being stubborn to myself. But yeah, I do wish that I could have the ability to not be so bare to everyone. I guess that would be another way to say it. That everything is out in the open. I have no secrets anyway, pretty much, but sometimes it's good to be able to not project all of that.
I can empathize rather hard with that. Masking is one of the reasons that I'm like physically incapable of lying. Because masking is already a light form of lying about who you are and what's going on, and that as soon as I start to take that and add in any other layers of misdirection or anything else, then it's that effect of once you start lying and the lies get bigger, it all comes crumbling down, except for I started about 80%. And as soon as I start lying at all, it all just comes crumbling down, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about the thing I did 2 days ago, and what I feel about it, and why what I think about what I feel about that means that that things are probably okay, but not yet. And so it's like masking is, I don't know, like masking is a form of lying, which can be very exhausting to maintain. Not to steal. Sorry if I jumped in there. I just so what Gray had said sparked me to think on pretending to be someone that I'm not. I can pretend that I'm not someone that I am, but I can't go but I really struggle to go all the way to pretending to be someone that I'm not. Mm-hmm. And that's, I don't know. I'm very fortunate that I grew up in a household that was loving and caring and nurturing and didn't require me to do that in order to gain affection, because I'm not sure if I could do that or what I would be like now if I had to do that. Mm-hmm. And it makes me appreciate what I have, to hear that from to hear what other people have gone through.
If anything, I had to learn how to be a better liar to mask.
Interesting.
I can say from my experience that having to mask makes me a better liar, which I don't particularly like saying.
Hi, Squishy.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
So I grew up in a very strict Christian household where don't really show emotions at all. Don't inside the house we are who we are, and outside you've got to make sure that everybody thinks that you're this perfect little person. So my life started out with masking to the rest of the world, and when I got, I don't know, probably high school-ish age, I flipped that completely around. Mm-hmm. So to the world I was who I am, and to my parents, no, I'm still your precious little princess that doesn't do anything wrong. And I will say, after years and years and years, it just made me a better liar. So,
I mean, the one thing I would say about that is that sometimes, Squishy, we had to do what we had to do to survive, whether it was mentally or what have you. My old man was a tyrant, and anything that was against God or anything like that, you would think that I had committed murder. So we had to do what we had to do. That's really what that's I think that's how I have to justify it,
Well, honestly, I stopped justifying it to myself a long time ago.
I know what I'm talking about at the time.
I will be who I am to everyone that I want to show who I am to. I also have the side that I show my parents, which is nothing like who I actually am. And then I have the other side of me that I show to people that I want to think of me a certain way. And unfortunately, because of basically how controlled I am of, everything that I can control in my life, I don't really have a problem with keeping the lies straight. Or, walking into a situation going, oh wait, that one person thinks me this way, that person thinks me that way. Which one am I going to be? So.
Overwhelm you? That would overwhelm me quickly.
It happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
that's it. Masking fills most of my entire capacity for lying. I mean, since I do that pretty consistently when I'm trying to basically just deal with the people that I care about, there's no way that I would ever falsify information or anything that wasn't just directly relevant to my situation and my okayness. It's always got to be pretty much what it is because I'm already kind of pushing that line.
When I was younger, one of the topics that will be in a much later stream, those of you who don't know, I was molested, raped, other things by my stepbrother for about 4 years. Whenever I was, in custody of my dad at the time. And that's when I was able to mask, and I hid it because at the time I didn't know it was wrong, but once, sex ed hit in, late grade school, I found out that it was actually wrong and tried in any way that I could to tell my mom, but also to not make it seem like such a bad thing. I made it a hide and seek game. So I don't know if that would be masking. But I ended up getting in a lot of trouble for it. Not for, what had happened to me, but hiding it, treating it like a joke for what she thought it was, and things like that. I got in a lot of trouble for toning it down and not treating it as serious as it was, but I was 8, 9 years old at the time, so I didn't really know any better on how to come about tact in subjects like that. So that was one thing that I kind of tried to keep, to myself a little bit and not really make it seem like a big deal. And that's just gone through up to current, but that's well after, decades of, personal therapy and going to therapy, talking to my psychiatrist about it, things like that. I mean, I've gotten over it quite a bit. As far as I can tell, I know that there was a lot in my past that I did that was very poor choices on my part to kind of fill that gap that had been created within me at that time. But I mean, when it initially started happening, nobody knew. Because I just didn't tell anybody, didn't want to tell anybody, because it wasn't really that big a deal to me until I was told the severity of it. And then even still, I wanted to, just kind of, it's no big deal. I don't know if that's the same. Again, I don't mask well.
I don't either.
Well,
I sometimes do, sometimes don't. Oh, sorry, Squishy, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was going to say, I don't like the fact that I mask well. That it's not something that, honestly, I feel like I should be proud about, because I should be able to stand on my feet to the people who are around me and just be me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know better than that. I know that there are people that if I showed the real me to, I'd get disowned. So rather than cause upset in what seems to be a, decent situation, I will continue to just get along with everybody and not be myself. So.
I mean, recent years, Now that I don't have to worry about that sort of stuff, I do find some solace in the fact that I really don't have to hide who I am anymore, and I choose not to anymore because I did it for so many years. I mean, hell, last year I finally told my mother I'm pansexual, and all my fears were laid to rest of, because we all have like 1,000 different ideas of how it's gonna go,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to tell her what it meant, though. That was interesting having to educate her.
I bet.
And my mom and dad had a lot of questions about poly and pan and all of those things, but I think my mom and dad are the only people to whom I've never really bothered to mask, because at one point I wanted them to really understand me, and at one point I stopped caring whether they did.
I know for me, masking became a thing through some of the relationships that I was in. I always had to pretend that everything was okay just to make someone else happy. Because as Papa knows, I am a huge people pleaser. And sometimes the abuse that I was given, and I masked how much it hurt or how I was feeling or what I was thinking. So much so that at times it felt like I could disconnect from everybody and everything, and I could just join my own little world. I started writing because of that.
It honestly sounds like a fantastic way to basically keep in touch with yourself and yet not expose yourself to possible quote unquote harm when it comes to, dealing with people emotionally. As if you can get it down on paper or into a computer, you're still talking about it, you're still discussing it with yourself and the page, but overall you're still keeping yourself safe. So.
Yeah, that's always how I've seen masking. It's the way that I keep myself sane. At work, when I mask, I'm in pain, so I have to put on a front that everything is fine and I'm okay, and I have to always be that smiling person. And recently, we have these things called a cup of wisdom at work, and somebody was like, when you disconnect from everything after you get off work, where you just need the 30 minutes or the 2 hours it takes for you to drive home to just be you before you have to put on another hat and become somebody else to mask how you're really inside. I realized I was doing that a lot. Like, everybody at work sees me as this sweet and hyper and funny and always smiling person. But then when I have really bad days, it's like blindsiding to everybody else that I can't keep that mask up.
Thank you very much for sharing, everybody. It's going on 8:45. I've started inking this piece, but it is far from ready to be done. I just need to get rid of some of this pencil. We can have some final thoughts on the topic and mention next week's topic. Give me just a minute here. I have it on a calendar now. Yay! Let's see. Yes. Next Tuesday is my birthday, and we're going to be revisiting the attachment theory. Because I did learn some things about myself, as you remember on the previous stream, and it was extremely eye-opening. So we will revisit attachment theory. Those of you who discovered that you may have had, something different, or discovered that you had attachment issues that you can put a name to finally, we can revisit that and talk about coping mechanisms. I did quite a bit of research after that stream and found several different ideas. One of which that I have tried already, and it seems to be working so far, knock on wood. But it's definitely something worth a revisit this soon after having that discussion. So
I just want to say I'm happy that you are among the people who are able to get something out of this stream.
Yeah.
In addition to everyone else.
Thank you.
Yeah, as the person helping all of us, that we're also able to help you a little bit.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate every single one of you, not just for, being friends or for popping in on here, but because you do bring that little bit of extra joy into these streams and a little bit of extra hope for others who tune in. People who who suddenly feel seen and are no longer in the dark on what to do. They can take some advice from us. Now, we are not licensed professionals. This is not a counseling group. It's just a bunch of people getting together, sharing their sides, and, getting rid of false information and clearing the air about some things about themselves and whatnot, because this is a safe space. This is a place where you can rant, you can let loose, you can feel safe sharing without being judged, without being told, oh, well, it's all your fault anyway, or it's all in your head, or all those other things that everybody's already told us. That's not what we're here for. And to be honest, this is better than art therapy for me now. Yes, I love drawing. As you can see, I like doing this stuff. But it's become so much more now, and I can't wait until I can really do what I want with this stream. So that'll be a discussion for a later topic. But again, thank you everybody who shared. Is there anybody else that didn't get to share that wants to, or just wants to say anything to anybody who has already shared?
I did want to say something. I look forward to this stream every week. Like, it is the most important thing for me because it's the constant that I have. I know I can come in here, even if I don't talk, I can listen to everybody else and feel like I've been seen and heard. Sorry, not having a good time right now.
That's okay. No need to apologize. Like you taught me, it's okay to not be okay.
And at one point, I will remember that it is okay for me to also not be okay.
Yeah.
But
You don't have to mask around us.
just knowing that you guys are there and I can always come into the sanctuary and just be like, hey, I'm having a crap day, even though I never do. I can go in there and I can feel like I'm a part of everybody because everybody is there. And you and Gray have built a community of people who just want to make everybody feel like they belong. And I love that.
It's our little baby, and I'm proud of it, and I'm glad that it helps people like you, Alex, anybody, if nothing else, if I don't say anything else, I love all of you guys, every single one of you, and I'm glad that y'all are here.
I was about to make a joke because as soon as you said, I love you guys, every single one, are you drunk? No, I'm kidding.
Not currently, but I am Irish. I may just be, perma drunk.
It's your heritage.
So again, thank you everybody again for sharing and for showing up every week. Even if you can't make it every week, that's cool. I'm not going to hold it against you. Because guess what? I'm not here every week. Because, sometimes I have to take a mental health day and it just happens to be on stream night. So those are going to happen. So I will apologize ahead of time if you really need the stream that night and I cannot bring myself to do it. But just know that I'm always thinking about each one of you and any progress you make any, breakthroughs you have. I am looking forward to hearing all about it. If you feel like sharing, again, this is not a place where you have to share. For those of you just tuning in, this is a safe space. Feel free to join the Discord server, 18 and up. I will post that again. And you are more than welcome to join us anytime, any day, even if with an anonymous screen name that you delete after you post a rant. That's up to you, and we're cool with that. So, thanks again, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop sketching here because I'm just going to keep going all night if I end up not stopping. All right, guys. Thank you again so much.
One of us.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Last thought of the stream. Rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, no. I guess
God rest in peace to Hilton, Sholo the Nubian,
Oh.
Warrior Scarby.
No.
He passed away on Sunday.
Oh, no.
I was up there at fair and went to look for him to give him a hug, say hello, and nobody in cast acted weird, and I'm not sure if they even knew.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if they even knew, because like I said, friends of mine are cast. I'd be surprised if they weren't at least letting the mask down with me to let me know that something was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until everybody got home from Scarby that they made the announcement.
Oh, no.
No, I was a wreck on Sunday. Because, I had been looking for him. I thought I saw him and was walking towards him and got distracted and turned back, and the person I thought was there was not there.
Yeah.
And apparently he had passed away at some point early that morning at the campsite.
Oh, that's so sad. He gives such good hugs, and he was such a nice guy.
Shadow?
Sholo the Nubian.
Sholo. Yeah.
Okay, I thought for a second there I was having like a flashback because I remember Shadow and his wife.
Sholo's been there, God, at least 20 years, if not longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would always man the gate at TRF and Scarby.
Mm-hmm.
So those of us that are big fair family or whatever, we took a big massive hit this weekend.
Yeah. I'll have to take a moment or two after the stream. I do have one picture, or no, I've got 2 or 3 pictures of him left. One where he's very, very tightly squeezing and lifting my mother. He had a little bit of a thing for her. It was interesting. But
well, but that was him. He was a very loving and caring man.
Oh, yes, he was.
He was very, very affectionate.
Yes.
Well, this stream took a sad turn.
I'm sorry, guys.
Well, it's not so much. Yes, the death of anybody that you know and are familiar with or very close to is terrible. But something that I have always tried to express is, if it is the death of somebody, not just somebody, walking out of your life or you having to leave or anything like that, their memories are how they live on. The memories in other people's minds. And as long as you can fondly remember them, then there's that little bit of happiness left over. Those happy memories, Because every time I would go to the fair, I would get lifted up by this giant man and squeezed until my back cracked. It was great. And his armor was always the best. It was great, and that giant sword. Okay, well, in memory of Sholo at Scarborough Fair. This one's for you, buddy. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll sketch you later.